This is TWiT.
So I felt like my feed blew up it was yesterday, in fact, because as we all may know, Google and Sonos has been in a trade court battle, and Sonos just won. And the ruling that was handed down was that Google infringed on Sonos's patents. And these are patents related to Google's casting capabilities and how it handles multi-room audio. So there you go. It's directly tied to what we're just talking about. From the New York Times, the Sonos claimed that Google got a look at how their system worked back in 2013 when the company was pitching to integrate with Google Play Music, and it believes Google, quote, blatantly and knowingly copied Sonos when it made the Google Home speaker. And this lawsuit's been going on for over 2 years. And the result is that Google can't import its own products manufactured overseas that infringe on those patents. So this includes the Google Home, Nest speakers, Pixel devices, and Chromecast devices. Google says it's been developing its own alternative technology since the lawsuit was originally brought. And so what this means for you, if you have one of those devices, functionally, it means that speaker groups won't be volume controlled together anymore. You'll have to be done on a per speaker basis. So if you have I have all my Google Homes linked as, all speakers, and I can have the same thing playing on one and have the same volume. No longer you have to adjust the volume individually on each device, which also seems annoying, but I know we don't like Louis C.K. anymore, but the old Louis C.K. joke about the person complaining about the internet not working in a plane. It's like, yeah, right. Come on, you're like we have these speakers that stream music. Yes, you have to adjust the volume individually. It'll be fine. Let's see the forest for the trees. But still,
very first world problems. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, if you've got two Nest audio speakers, right? That's like the step down from the Google, the highest end Google Home speaker. I can't remember what they called it, but the really nice speakers, they can be. Well, I think all Google Home and Nest audio speakers can do this, but you can set them up as a stereo pair, right? Now, what I wonder is, if I have a stereo pair, like, this is my left, this is my right, and they're coming into my app, will I really have to adjust the left and the right individually from each other? And if so, please, dear God, make that an easy thing to, I just think that's going to be really annoying. As an audiophile, that's super annoying to not have them linked and unified. It's just, I realize it's maybe a first world problem, but it's also kind of dumb because I've never seen a stereo that, that you have both speakers controlled individually, and if you do, there's some way to unite the controls so that they travel together, because who wants the left speaker to be 70% and the right speaker to be 40%? That always just sounds weird.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Also, quick props to Florence I and to Flo for writing the article in Gizmodo that we referenced in this story. So good job, Flo. But yeah, I mean, it shows the value of patents. And Sonos was there first, developed the technology, got the patent, and defended it. And Google, this is a David and Goliath story, and Google lost. So it's fascinating.
Go for it, Wayne.
Sorry, no, I feel like, especially, so my background, I actually started off thinking I was going to be a hardware person, I being a software person. So I think that, so I'm all happy for kind of a smaller company to not get pushed around by a bigger company. I think I'll speak for myself on this, that I have a lot of issues with the way that patents are used for software in particular. I remember being very pissed off kind of back in the day when, Apple could patent a rectangular device with rounded corners. And of course, there was a big case with Google versus Oracle recently. And kind of, I guess it's kind of easy to rail on the trademark / copyright / patent system in this country, and that it's kind of overreaching. There's plenty of, I forgot what the term is for companies that just, buy up, these trademarks and patents just to sue people with patent trolls. Patent trolls, yeah. And so I'm all for small companies not getting pushed around, but I also feel like this is one of those things where like you were saying, Jason, it's kind of obvious. It seems like, because the whole thing with patents and trademarks is to protect ideas that are not obvious, right? And to protect kind of novel things. And if you ask me, if you just take the idea that you can, broadcast music via Bluetooth or whatever from one device to some speakers, you have more of them, it seems like an obvious idea that you'd want them to be the same volume. So I don't want to like, demonize Sonos for having these patents at all. I just feel like it always kind of feels a little bit funny when, and not necessarily that we're just first world complaining, but that there is something a little bit odd about things that seem very obvious and that we as consumers just kind of have to like, oh, why can't I change my Chromecast? Like, why can't I change my like connected device volume like easily in a way that seems kind of obvious? I don't know. Sorry, patents kind of just is one of those like hot button things where just like, like, why is it like this? Like,
yeah.
Sonos, but also why?
I felt a similar way about the feature that I think that was definitely on iPhone first, which was like it if you got a message with a phone number, it would recognize that it's a phone number and it would make it a hyperlink that you could then tap and call. And I realized somebody had to do that first, right? Like Apple, from my understanding, Apple designed that recognition first and said, hey, we should make it easier for someone to call that or to email that address or whatever. But when you really think about the concept, like it seems so obvious, right? And maybe it only seems obvious now because we have it. And I guess that's probably the question. But why would I not want to be able to quickly call the phone number that was just texted to me? And so to not be able to have that in an OS because Apple did it first and patented it, like it kind of feels very similar to that. I think your point is absolutely spot on. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe there's something about the way that Google implemented the volume change that maybe it's not the fact that it's a group volume change, but rather a way that they implemented it that matches the way Sonos presented to them as doing it, and they'll come up with their own system that still does it, but does it differently in some way, shape, or form. And maybe we won't even see. Well, like we won't even see as users exactly how that's done because the change is behind the scenes. I don't know how that's going to work out. But.
No, I think that's a real valid point, though. In that, again, I think traditionally when I think of patents, like especially like kind of growing up in kind of an engineering school. Like patents often, like I always think of a patent as like something that protects a process, that protects something physical, something like kind of novel, like the way that you're doing something is faster, better, different than anyone else has done it. And I know that's probably just my personal perspective on what patents are, but I think that's very valid. Like if Sonos has a very interesting way of like architecting something that is not obvious, but that gives you, like lightning fast connection, or if they're able to make it super reliable because the way that they implement it and the way that they structure something is not obvious, that is worthy of that. That's for sure. So it is a spectrum. I feel like, rounded corners is on this end of the spectrum. And then, how to efficiently maybe securely, I don't know, like synchronize volumes, without with only Bluetooth or with only Wi-Fi. Like it's a spectrum, and I think it's fair. I'm not saying like it's not a totally like invalid patent or not. It's just it's a weird spectrum. It's always going to be disagreements on what is valid and what is not.